What makes the family good? Ray J is back with another video, and this time I want to analyze the developments around Tesla, the spy footage, and a few other news stories. I'll explain some major news involving Cathie Wood and Elon Musk, what's going on at Tesla going forward, and what to keep an eye out for throughout the day, examining false information. Let me just touch on a few points before going into further detail. First of all, don't take anything I say as financial advice because I'm not a financial planner. Additionally, if it's possible, kindly click the Moomoo link that appears in the description and below. 5 free stocks are yours if you use the link below to join up from Moomoo and deposit $100 into your account. With $1,000, you'll receive 15 complimentary stocks. This offer expires in about 5 days. In any case, we have this absolutely enormous boost to 182.5 for Tesla. This is the stage that we identified. As I mentioned before, Tesla might go through 180 and reach the 182.5 region. After we reach this barrier, we should observe it to see how it responds. All things considered, Tesla did reach this point. We're beginning to refuse now, but not very much. Thus, keep an eye out to see how well it does in this 182 area. However, given the tight opposition we're seeing and the speed at which Tesla pumps, I do advise everyone to exercise some caution. Now that we've covered that, let's discuss some news. I would want to warn everyone that in my last video I made a small error. I did specify that Wednesday was the date. That Wednesday I visited the day. I apologize to all of you for not realizing that today is Tuesday. In any case, not a lot of information was released today. We recently received statistics from the Dallas Fed about manufacturing and services. We'll also be watching for potential volatility in the 42-day bill auction, which is scheduled to begin at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Other than that, I don't think there will be much data activity for the rest of the day. And yet, you guys, the movements were still rather flowing. The SPY did give a slight pump. Even though we're still kind of cutting on espionage, Tesla made this significant decision despite our warning. So everything here was correct. Everything here was correct. Everything happened precisely as intended. Well, let's discuss about some recent news events. So with some recent news, the Chinese sales are receiving a lot of attention. In general, Chinese sales are indeed lower than they were the previous quarter. I presented some pre-market data to you guys, and they are up more than 11% from the prior week, which is quite impressive. 13,700 insurance registrations is a very respectable number. Though still not horrible, I would argue it might have been much better. Additionally, a lot of news has been released regarding Tesla's anticipated future growth. And on Monday, 163,000 shares of Tesla stock were bought by Cathie Wood and her ARK invest funds. That was only yesterday then. She continued to accumulate Teslas, spending over $28.2 million on them. You have to determine for yourself whether or not this is a wise decision in the run-up to Tesla's significant delivery figures. I just want to suggest that because she's in a completely different condition than many of us, we can't or shouldn't just copy her and do anything like that. Who knows what will happen? You realize that most people trade with millions, not billions of money. I simply want to be clear that you shouldn't be filling up the boats needlessly just because she does this. It is important that you search for extremely strong entry points. You should exercise extreme caution. Well, non-financial guidance, I'm just kind of talking about this on my own. She thereby acquired additional Tesla stock. Recall that she consistently averages her costs in dollars and remains a significantly larger long-term bull. It is therefore possible that her objectives could range greatly from person to person. Even so, it's encouraging news. Additionally, Mexico saw the Cybertruck in action. In fact, a great deal of testing was observed. As it happens, there's some pretty awesome things over here. Additionally, it's evident that in some of those instances, we witnessed them practically going off-road. Many have discussed how important this will be for the Kiko factory in Mexico, and Tesla is still working on it. Thus, some intriguing information has surfaced. Nevertheless, focusing on Tesla, I simply want to note that it is still experiencing a very strong push and appears to be really optimistic overall. However, note that the resistance around 182.5 is becoming rather close. We might be looking for a move up to roughly 184. If we are able to break through this, and we might even be able to go up to 187.5. We might drop back to 18 if you reject off 182, but as of right now, Tesla is kind of chopping in this 182 range. Although it's not really doing much, if we do manage to break through this barrier, there is still room for this to rise. I would like to warn you that this is an extremely difficult resistance, so proceed with caution. We'll have to wait and see whether Tesla pulls back from here a little later. However, all in all, it's holding up quite well. As of right now, we'll simply have to wait and see, but if we break past the 182s, we could easily push up to 184.44. You know, this move is finished for the most part. Considering where Tesla was yesterday, we have already called out the majority of this move. Tesla is still operating profitably. SPY is currently in a very, very critical situation. The intriguing thing about SPYs is that we may have an opposite head and shoulders configuration. This development over here on the chart looks quite good. We're also attempting to break free of this general bull flag-like framework, but I can't promise that it will happen right now. SPY needs to first demonstrate a clean bounce off of 521, which is the location of this left shoulder level. This might really begin to break out higher to 522 plus in the new all-time high if we get that significant bounce. We're barely holding 521 and it hasn't breached 522 yet. If it loses support at 52.6, we may really reverse course and try to bounce again later. So gentlemen, exercise caution. I'm not suggesting that espionage will fail or anything. Kind of like. We're stranded here in the 521 zone. We're moving extremely slowly. Therefore, I would prefer to advise being really patient and giving it some time to see which course of action works out. Do you have a excellent return from this place or not? We need to rebound from here in order for this reversal to occur because we are at support. We'll simply have to wait and see as it's getting close. EU is also beginning to look really fascinating, so I did mention that it might drop even further, and that is what has happened thus far. We might drop back to 444 and then rebound if we break through this 445.25 support level. One might say that a symmetrical structure is building from both ends if we maintain this support, in which case there is still room for increase. Alternatively, we may see a retracement back down to 444 and attempt to rebound. That might still result in an inverse head and shoulders, so it's best to wait and watch how things play out just to be safe. Therefore, I do want to draw attention to the possibility that the KQ may decline slightly. In the event that we test 445.2 and lose it, we may drop back to 444 and then execute the bounce correctly. Though I believe it will rebound later, we must decide whether to act now or whether it will take some time. Apple is currently trading sideways at this 170, not really doing anything. It is almost flat. Therefore, I anticipate that this will play out for Nvidia just as I stated in the morning. As I said, it might actually take a tiny dive, but it might also attempt a later recovery. This white trend line just so happens to be the important support that we are nearing, so it looks great over here. Let me simply extend the magnification a little bit farther. This white TR is located just here. We bounced off of this again, and now we are going to get extremely close to the hourly 50 EMA. The previous resistance, which is the 938 area, will be our target to maintain. If we lose it, we might drop as low as 930 before rising again. Otherwise, keep an eye on Nvidia's assistance. We anticipated a slight dip, and I mentioned that in the event that it did, we might look into testing these supports and monitor the situation from there. But anyhow, folks, if you look at Tesla and the markets, you can see that the company is still very much alive and strong. However, I will warn you that this resistance level at 182.5 is going to be a bit hard. Thus, we'll have to wait and watch how Tesla fares in this area at this high level. Things are now a little turbulent. Therefore, exercise caution and give it the time it requires, and let's see if Tesla is able to break over the 182s. Give it time, folks, and take care of what needs to be done. It will be my pleasure to see you all in a few hours. I appreciate your time. Enjoy the most amazing rest of the day, and once more, I apologize for the tiny error I made this morning when I said that it was more like Wednesday going over Wednesday data rather than Tuesday. That does occur occasionally after all. I do record these videos early in the morning. Nevertheless, it didn't really matter because Tesla proceeded with the move we were criticizing and the technicals held true, so it is what it is. I promise to do much better the next time. With that, gentlemen, be careful. Tesla to the moon because the future remains bright, and goodbye.